Welcome back to today's episode to the 16 federal states series of this channel, where we cover the 16 federal states, or as in German we call them Bundesländer. And today's Bundesland, or federal state in English, is called Mecklenburg-Vorpommern. So for the kind of introductory part of this video, where I kind of talk about it as always, Mecklenburg-Vorpommern, this is the Wikipedia article. Mecklenburg-Vorpommern is located right in the northeast of Germany. The biggest cities, for example, are Rostock, Schwerin, which is the capital of Mecklenburg-Vorpommern. Then we have Stralsund, which is like part of a not very, but kind of famous TV series in German. I think it's a crime series or something. At least this is the only kind of instance where I've heard of the city. Greifswald is also one, Neubrandenburg maybe, and yeah, it's pretty much influenced by the whole Ostsee, I don't know if it's called Eastern Sea or something, region, which is of course like bordering to Denmark, and on the eastern side is also has the border to Poland, and it used to be part of the DDR, I think, with like federal states like Berlin, Brandenburg, or like, was it West Berlin or East Berlin? I don't know. One of them was part of the DDR, and Sachsen and all these states, which were, I think, controlled by the Soviet Union. Then what do we also have? This is where I kind of read into Mecklenburg-Vorpommern. Did I miss something because I'm not quite that familiar with it? But yeah. Oh, it is one of the least populated, it is the least populated state, of Germany, but we're gonna get into that. And yeah, but one of the things which is, I think, pretty much characterizing for it is that it is pretty much influenced by this whole like northern / Soviet kind of characterization because of the like DDR times and other historic events. And yeah, its location, you could say. And yeah, let's just get into it. So, yeah, Mecklenburg-Vorpommern. Naturparadies. Über 2000 Seen, mehr als 350 Kilometer Ostseeküste, aber auch weitläufige Äcker und Wälder prägen die Landschaft des dünnst besiedelten deutschen Bundeslandes. Mecklenburg-Vorpommerns wichtigster Wirtschaftszweig ist der Tourismus. In der Heimat der Bundeskanzlerin Angela Merkel gibt es das größte Wassersportrevier Mitteleuropas. Daten und Fakten: Bevölkerung 1,63 Millionen. Landeshauptstadt Schwerin. Größe 23.180 Quadratkilometer. Bruttoinlandsprodukt in Millionen Euro 2023 61.245, Platz 14. Bruttoinlandsprodukt pro Kopf 2023 37.656, Platz 14. Einzigartig: Deutschlands größte Insel Usedom. Sitze im Bundesrat 3. Platz 1 im Ranking: Bundesländer mit der längsten Küste, 2000 Kilometer. Special Fact: Die meisten Nationalparks Deutschlands, 3 von 14, liegen in Mecklenburg-Vorpommern, OMV. So, let's just get into that. Naturparadies, which means nature paradise, so yeah, natural paradise or paradise of nature. Über 2000 Seen. Über in general is a preposition which what do you call that, like location wise, I think, locative, I don't know. Anyways, like in terms of the location, so über is just over in general, but in this case this means more than. So more than, über 2000 Seen, more than 2000 Seen, not to be confused with, this means lakes, but not to be confused with seas, because it's kind of quite similar, but it doesn't mean the same, so it is a lake. So more than 2000 lakes, mehr als 350 Kilometer Ostseeküste, more than, this is quite literally more than, mehr als 350 kilometer Ostseeküste. I'm just gonna check how you translate Ostsee. Baltic coast, interesting. So nature paradise, more than 2000 seas, not seas, excuse me, lakes. Do you even say in English also like over 2000 lakes? Yeah, in general, more than 2000 lakes, more than 350 Kilometer Baltic coast, aber auch weitläufige Äcker und Wälder prägen die Landschaft des dünnst besiedelten deutschen Bundeslandes. Aber auch, but also, weitläufige Äcker, weitläufig, I think I explained that in one of the previous episodes, but that is consisting of the word wide, which means wide or huge or large or big, but in general something in terms of its width. Läufig derives from the word laufen, just gonna write it here, very common, which just means go, run. And läufig is kind of running or going, so weitläufig means kind of wide going, so this is the adjective form of a verb, but yeah. So wide going, Äcker, which is the plural form of Acker, and that means a field, I think, if I'm not completely mistaken. Acker, yeah, field, acre, yeah, but in general, this is more of the counting of in terms of measuring size, but Acker is just relating to a field, or referring to one. Weitläufige Äcker, so wide going, but like in this case huge, also kind of like open, you could say, but just huge fields. And forests und Wälder derives from the word Wald, which just means forest or wood. Prägen die Landschaft. This word prägen we discussed in the last episode is just, on one hand it means to emboss something, like a what do you call it, dime, like a 50-cent, I'm blanking on the word right now, coin, yeah, a coin. Or this can also mean in more, do you say figurative? Let me just check. Figurative. Yeah, more figurative terms, it can mean, or like metaphorical, something to have a large impact on something, to, yeah, in this case, kind of emboss it, you know? And so, and words emboss kind of, but in this case, impact. So, weitläufige Äcker und Wälder prägen die Landschaft. Wide going, in this case, very huge fields and woods or forests. Emboss, or in this case, impact. Die Landschaft, the landscape. So Landschaft just as land is the same even though it can have different meanings like country. Schaft, but this can also mean like just the open, less populated region, like with more nature and this kind of thing, like the type of region where you live. Schaft, in this case, this is just which way do I say that? This is more to say that something is, I don't really know to explain that, but like in English you have the word, for example, ship, like just a ship, but also as a, what do you say, like kind of suffix, like friendship, hardship, this kind of thing. And this is kind of the same, not translates to ship in English, I guess, but I think you get what I mean. So this is the landscape des dünnst besiedelten deutschen Bundeslandes. Of the genitive case, dünnst is like the superlative form of dünn. Just gonna write it here, which just means thin. In this case, in English, thinly. Besiedelten means, populated. This derives from the word siedeln or Siedlung. I think that just means settle. Yeah. So, besiedeln, colonized. Yeah, you could say, but in this case, it means populated. It can mean like colonize. It can mean settle, but in this case, it just means populate. So the most thinly populated Deutschen means German. Bundeslandes, like the genitive case, des Bundeslandes, of the federal state. So, aber auch weitläufige Äcker und Wälder prägen die Landschaft des dünnst besiedelten deutschen Bundeslandes. That means but also wide, you could say. Fields and forests impact the landscape of the, in this case, most thinly populated German federal state. So and in general this sentence, like as one, because this is a whole sentence, this means nature paradise, kind of, or natural paradise, over 2,000 seas, or more than 2,000, not seas, excuse me, lakes, more than 350 kilometers of Baltic coast, but also wide fields and forests imprint the landscape of the most thinly populated German federal state. So, Naturparadies, über 2000 Seen, mehr als 350 Kilometer Ostseeküste, aber auch weitläufige Äcker und Wälder prägen die Landschaft des dünnst besiedelten deutschen Bundeslandes. And the second sentence is, Mecklenburg-Vorpommerns wichtigster Wirtschaftszweig ist der Tourismus. That means of Mecklenburg-Vorpommern, basically like belonging to them, because of the S, Mecklenburg-Vorpommerns. In English you could also say Mecklenburg-Vorpommerns, but you would need to put an, is it called apostrophe in English? I think apostrophe. Apostrophe. Yeah. Between the N and the S, and Wichtigster means most important. This is the superlative form of wichtig, which just means important. Wirtschaftszweig means, what's it called? Zweig. The branch. Branch you could say, or in this case, also a, which way do you translate branche? This, I think this also derives from that, but like from French. Because Zweig means branch and Wirtschaft means economy, so economic branch you could say. So you could also say, in this case, industry, branche. I think in English it's also called branch or something, like from French. but this just means the economic branch, economic part, ist the tourism, ist der Tourismus, so is the male, der Tourismus, the tourism. So Mecklenburg-Vorpommerns wichtigster Wirtschaftszweig ist der Tourismus. Mecklenburg-Vorpommern's most important economic branch, or you could also say in English what I was referring to, like, I don't know, is it called branch, industry? I think you get what I mean. Ist der Tourismus, is the tourism, or is tourism. In der Heimat der Bundeskanzlerin Angela Merkel gibt es das größte Wassersportrevier Mitteleuropas. So this sentence, we're going to get into that, seems to be a bit, or like this indicates, I'm just going to look, once. This indicates to me that this article seems to be a bit older, because, I'm going to explain. Oh, no, it's 21st of April 2025, interesting, because, we're going to get into that, Mecklenburg-Vorpommern, Here, in der Heimat means in the hometown, or like where you feel home. Heimat derives from the word Heim, which means kind of home. But in this case, Heimat means like the more geological, like landscape, or like more region type of hometown. And in der Heimat der Bundeskanzlerin means in the hometown of the, this is the genitive case, it can also be the nominative case, like der Tourismus, or I think, the nominative case of the masculine form. I think this is also something you don't necessarily need to know. I think you'll develop a feeling for that pretty quickly if you just consume enough content in German, but I'm just saying for the people interested in grammar, this is the genitive case of the is it genitive? Wait, in dem, in vem. No, this is actually the dative case, but can also be the genitive case. But like what I'm just saying, it can also be the nominative case, like when something is a certain way, just like der Baum steht, the tree stands. So that means it is just the tree. So the tree is the subject, but like in whom, in who, dem, in dem, in wem in this case, if you were to ask, in wem. But yeah. It can also be wessen can also have der, but this is for the feminine form, I guess. Anyways, this is very grammatical stuff, and I'm even getting confused myself, but I'm just saying that this der can be the nominative case for the masculine form, so that just when something is like der Baum, der Ball, you know, these kinds of things, but it can also be, like in this case, in der Heimat. To explain why that is, and why I was getting confused, is you have to ask in wem, because this is referring to, like who you do something to, and yeah. And it can also be, just for an example of the, I think it was feminine form of genitive. So it was like whose. So you were to say, for example, like whose in German is wessen. Like whose bag is that? Wessen Tasche ist das? Sorry. Tasche ist das. Like, whose bag is that? Whose bag is this? And for the feminine form, just to explain that a bit, the feminine form of, like, whose that is would be to give an answer to that, von, for example, der Frau. The woman is just feminine, so die Frau is feminine in is the feminine nominative case, and genitive case is from the woman, so von der Frau, and that's just underlining my point of just saying that der can be, in different circumstances, can have different grammatical, do you even say aspects, but I think you can understand what I mean. So don't be confused, but yeah. I mean, don't be confused is always said easily when you are able to differentiate all those things, and there are other people out there having difficulties, but yeah. I'm always up for an explanation. So yeah, let's just continue that. In der Heimat, so this is just what I was referring to. In wem, in whom you could say, in wem, and that is just in der Heimat, die Heimat. Oh, was I always saying that this was masculine? No, I wasn't. Alright. So, in wem, in der Heimat, in the hometown. Der Bundeskanzlerin. This is, by the way, this is just kind of funny because this is showing that, or kind of, again, underlining all my points. In der Heimat, in wem, feminine form, accusative form. Der Bundeskanzlerin, this is feminine, but it's genitive form. So, in whom, of who, or like whose, in this case, who's in whose hometown. But yeah, this is very grammatical. You can skip this part if you want to, but yeah, we're gonna keep translating. In the hometown of the Bundeskanzlerin, which means chancellor, I guess. But yeah, what I was saying earlier, why I thought this article had to be a bit older. Yeah, Chancellor, Bundes is just referring to Germany. Bundesrepublik, yeah, for the 16 federal states, like including that. And why I was referring to the date of this article, because at this time of 2025, today is the 8th of September, we have had a few chancellor changes, I could say. And I think, so, Angela Merkel left her, work of being the chancellor in, was it 2022? Angela Merkel Amtsabtritt. This means kind of leaving work. No, not Antritt, Abtritt. Up until 2021 and 2022, I think the next chancellor got elected, which, if I'm not completely mistaken, should have been, was it, what's his name? Olaf Scholz, and he got kind of discredited, you could say, by the parliament, and there were re-elections, and now it's Friedrich Merz, I guess, but there have been so many political changes in Germany that I'm even confused who was chancellor a few months ago and who was not, because there have been coalition changes and all these kinds of things. And yeah, so let's just keep on translating and to get into the good stuff. In der Heimat, in the hometown of the Chancellor Angela Merkel. I think, I have read this article already, but not or have I dug into that? I'm not quite sure and explained it. But I've definitely read it up to this point. She was, just to explain that, one of the, you could say, most famous, most impactful chancellors, and the first female of Germany, at least but I think in general, but at least in terms of after the reunion of DDR and Germany, BRD and DDR, so of West Germany. Anyways, long story short, she is pretty much famous and kind of an icon here. if you like her or not, she had a big impact on German politics, but yeah. So in the hometown, in der Heimat der Bundeskanzlerin Angela Merkel gibt es das größte Wassersportrevier Mitteleuropas. In the hometown of the Chancellor Angela Merkel gibt es, that is again one of the, I wouldn't say phrases, but one of, it's it's the way of saying that there is something. In English you say there is, there are. In German you just say, no matter if it's plural or not, es gibt. Es gibt, for example, es gibt ein Haus. This just means there is a house. Es gibt einen Hasen. There is a rabbit. There are different forms of that. This is because why this is changing is because this is basically the, what's it called? Es gibt, and es gibt, es is the subjective form, so es is the thing that is doing something. I know this might sound weird to people who don't speak German, but es, that something is giving something, while the word by word basically might sound weird, but this is just the way of saying something, saying that there is something. But just to explain that, es gibt, so es is the thing that is doing something, that is why it is the subject of the noun in the sentence, and not the noun. It is one of the nouns, but it's in the subjective case. So, and einen Hasen is the accusative case. So, wen gibt es? Just to explain, that subjective should be subjective Nomen. You could say yes, the subjective nouns. Yeah. So einen Hasen is there is a rabbit and einen Hasen. So it gives a rabbit, and then the rabbit is the accusative form. So yeah, just to kind of explain why this is changing. I just wanted to underline es gibt einen Hasen. Es gibt viele, I don't know, Bäume. This means trees. This is just to show that there is no difference if it's plural or not. Es gibt viele verschiedene Sänger. For example, there are multiple different singers. Yeah, many different singers. Yeah, just to show that there is no difference. In der Heimat der Bundeskanzlerin Angela Merkel gibt es das größte Wassersportrevier Mitteleuropas. Oh my god, it's been such a long time and we still haven't finished this sentence. So yeah, but I think that was enough of the grammatical explanations for now, but who knows what's gonna come. So just gonna try to keep on doing it without dragging it too much into the dragging the length too much, because the grammatical stuff can sometimes be a bit consume too much of your mind, even though you might not understand it. So I'm just gonna focus on translating for now, but as always, who knows, maybe there's gonna come something, but I don't think so, or hope so for now. Anyways, let's just keep on going. In der Heimat der Bundeskanzlerin Angela Merkel, in the hometown of the Chancellor Angela Merkel, there is, das größte, the biggest, and the neutral form, the biggest, Wassersportrevier. Wasser means water, Sport means sport, Revier means a kind of area owned by someone. Revier is very, very much the word to use when you talk about animals marking their, when wolves or whatever kind of animal pees in some line to mark their, their area, you know. Let me just translate that. Revier can also be police station, territory. In terms of a police station, Polizeirevier is police station. This is very unique in this case because Revier rather means like territory. It's kind of weird to say police territory, but this just means police station. Then Wassersportrevier, so this just means not word by word translated. It would mean water sports territory. It just means water sports area. Mitteleuropas means Middle Europe, Middle Europe, so the S just marks that as genitive case. So, in der Heimat der Bundeskanzlerin Angela Merkel gibt es das größte Wassersportrevier Mitteleuropas. In the hometown of Chancellor Angela Merkel, of the, in this case, ex-Chancellor Angela Merkel, whichever way you want to pronounce that, there is the biggest water sports area of Middle Europe. Daten und Fakten. So, data and facts. We're gonna go through that pretty quickly. Bevölkerung, population, 1.363 million, 1,63 Millionen. Landeshauptstadt, Schwerin. By the way, one quick fact, Schwerin is like cities like, which was another city? But it's just to kind of explain why this, because in general, in German, you don't pronounce the in at the end that much, but in this case, it is pronounced in because it derives from historic background of the Eastern influence where you pronounce the in at the end very, like, what's it called, very hard. I think you know what I mean. Whereas a very much pronounced syllable, you could say. And for example, Berlin in German, I think, and after following general pronunciation rules, it will have to be Berlin or something, but I'm not quite sure. But because these city names got created under the influence of Eastern language, this is pronounced like Schwerin, Berlin, and other cities. So in the East, you're gonna find that probably much, but yeah. So Landeshauptstadt Schwerin means capital of the country, but in this case it refers to a federal state because Landes or Land can have different meanings in German. Größe, size, 23.180 Quadratkilometer, so 23,180 square kilometers. Bruttoinlandsprodukt in Millionen Euro 2023, Stand 2023, 61.245 in Klammern Platz 14. So GDP, Gross Domestic Product in million euros 2023, as of 2023 you could say in English, 61.245, Platz 14, 61,245, so 14th place in terms of the list of the 16 federal states, of course. And the same goes for the next sentence, where it's the Bruttoinlandsprodukt pro Kopf 2023, 37.656, so the GDP, Gross Domestic Product, per head in this case, which means per person, which is as of 2023, always trying to pronounce that pretty clearly, but not always making it. So that is 37,656, which in German is 37.656. Keep in mind, in German you always, is a weird rule, which is I think the same in Arabic, but that you you just say the last, do you say cipher in English? But number, think, you get what I mean? Digit? Yeah, anyways. Before you say the number of the 2 digits number, so you don't say 656 or 656, but you say 656, which in English would be, word by word, 656, but in English you of course say 656. But yeah. So, Bruttoinlandsprodukt pro Kopf 2023 37.656, Platz 14, same place as place you could say, as the last one, is the GDP per person, you could say, per head in German. This is kind of more of a saying, but yeah, per person, 2023. In 2023, where this stats, I think, got created, was 37.656. So 14th place. So pretty low, I think. Einzigartig, Deutschlands größte Insel Usedom. I don't necessarily know how to pronounce Usedom. I think you can pronounce it either way. Used to think it was called Usedom and some New York kind of stuff, but yeah. Einzigartig, so one of a kind, special. Deutschlands größte Insel Usedom. Germany's biggest island Usedom, so not Usedom, the way I used to think it was pronounced. Yeah. Sitze im Bundesrat, seats in the Bundesrat, 3, so Bundesrat, as I explained in the last episodes. This is the kind of secondary reigning organ of Germany in terms of the federal states, where the, what's it called? Vertreter? Representatives of the federal states meet, and I don't know what they do, but some political whatever. Platz 1 im Ranking, so place 1 in the ranking, first place in the ranking. Bundesländer mit der längsten Küste, 2000 Kilometer. Bundesländer, plural form of Bundesland, which is of course federal state, so federal states, mit der längsten Küste, with the longest coast, längste derives from the word lang, and is of course the superlative, which way do you pronounce that? I'm kind of interested now. Superlative. Superlative, so I was correct, or as the noun goes, this of course. So the superlative form of long, which in German is just lang, and so this is längste, feminine form, die längste Küste, the longest coast, die Küste, the coast. 2000 Kilometer, 2000 kilometers, of course. Special fact, the same in English. Die meisten Nationalparks Deutschlands, the most national parks of Germany, of course of Germany because of the S, which marks that it's genitive case. 3 von 14, 3 of 14, liegen in MV or Mecklenburg-Vorpommern. Sometimes it's also shortened with, do you say shortened? Abgekürzt? Abgekürzt. Abbreviated with MVP, but yeah. So the most national parks of Germany, 3 of 14, liegen in MV, lie in MV Mecklenburg-Vorpommern. Die meisten Nationalparks Deutschlands, 3 von 14, liegen in MV, Mecklenburg-Vorpommern. So yeah, that was it for today for Mecklenburg-Vorpommern. This, by the way, as always, the coat of arms, as I forgot to mention, but I think you just got that anyways. And yeah, that was it for today. Leave a like, leave a subscription. Hit the subscribe button, as they always say. I don't know. Anyway, subscribe if you want to. Leave a comment, leave a like, and yeah, just in the comments put anything you have to think about. If you have anything to add, to ask, I'm always there. And yeah, that was it for today.